Good Tuesday afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys have had a good Tuesday. I sure have had a nice, relaxing, simple day of school. I live down here in South Carolina. A lot of my friends are in the public school system and didn't have to have school today, but I'm homeschooled and I had to have it, but that's okay. Got to see some of my friends. We did virtual, so that was nice. Hope you guys, like I said, hope you guys have had a great Tuesday and continue to have a great evening. We have a lot of model guidance to go over and some runs that I think will make a lot of people happy. So we're going to get into it here. Like this video if you like it, subscribe if you've not done so already, and please comment down below where you're watching from. I'd love to know where my audience is. It's greatly appreciated. So, per usual, I'm just going to start off on a loop of something, right? This is our temperatures over the last hour, and you can see as we go into the night, we kind of see this line drop south, where our freezing temperatures are. And we'll continue to see that. It's another cool night ahead for a lot of the areas of the south, and obviously areas up north. You guys are just very cold. If you notice some color differences in this video, I'm using a different computer that's newer, and we're going to try it out. So, this might be a more colorful video. Maybe not. We'll see. But we're going to get into it here. So we're going to start off with the Euro. Old reliable, right? This is the 12Z. The 6Z has not, or 18Z has not run yet. So we're going to start that off just as it is here. So here we go. We start this off getting into early Saturday morning, the wee hours of the morning. Some snow breaking out along the southern Appalachian Mountains. And it starts to spread east. This is kind of a snow band, if you will. It's almost like almost convective looking, maybe almost like a line of storms, but it's snow. We don't know what that feature would be, not yet, but it's an option, right? We have a 1,009 millibar low, 100 to 200 miles off the shore of the Carolinas here, and it starts to deepen here, and we get more precipitation. This is getting into Saturday afternoon. A band of snow rolling through the central Carolinas here. Areas like down near Macon, Georgia, on the far southern extent, and then up to maybe Danville, Virginia, as the far northern areas, and then the band between that. And it starts to fill in here as we get into the evening hours. 999 low, so sub 1,000, starting to deepen, and we have this very heavy snow band across areas of the eastern Carolinas here. And our temperatures will be very, very cold, as we'll look at later. We have a low slinging tons of moisture up against the shore here, and it's also pulling cooler air down on this side. So it's kind of a perfect look here. It throws everything together for us. And areas in the eastern Carolinas, the Chesapeake Bay area of Virginia, all the way down to maybe the Savannah Beaufort area in South Carolina and Georgia, getting in on some snow. And we continue this out. This is not a forecast. And that band of heavy snow in, say, Kitty Hawk area, North Carolina, up to Elizabeth City and down as far south as Myrtle Beach, Horry County, South Carolina. Very heavy snow band, lasts for several hours. And then it moves up the coast. And this would deliver a lot of snow to Atlantic Canada, Nova Scotia really getting in on this, getting into Monday. Who knows with that? And we have some northwest flow. Who knows? This could actually do a little bit of something. So the Euro. And Monday afternoon, just after lunchtime, we have some snow in the southern Appalachian Mountains once again. So who knows? Something to look at. Let's look at our Euro AI model. I can't zoom in any further than this, and this is the only site that offers precipitation types. So let's get into it here. And again, we start off. This is getting into early Saturday morning. We're trending this sooner, guys. That's one thing I need to mention, is that it is closer to us than it was initially looking like. It was at one point looking like Sunday or Monday, and now it's looking like maybe late Friday even in some of these areas. This frame right here is late Friday, 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So who knows? But we get this going here. There is some mixing on the Euro AI. You can see this kind of tan color east of Atlanta here. That would be maybe some sleet and freezing rain, but nothing damaging, not yet. We'll see where this goes, or this trends. But we kind of have this heavy snow band from Atlanta to Charlotte here. And then obviously areas further north as well really getting in on this. And some lighter snow surrounds it. One thing I will say is that the rates and the ratios in this event should be pretty high. So we'll have areas where the snow falls very quickly. The rate is high. But it's so cold at the surface and aloft that we should be very efficient at snowing, if that makes any sense. Pretty much 1 inch of liquid equivalent typically equals 10 inches of snow. In this kind of event, it might be 15 inches of snow or 20 inches. So it's possible that 1 inch of liquid equivalent of just like rain would equal 15 or 20 inches of snow. That's a very high ratio. So not to get too bogged down in that, let's keep this moving here. This is Saturday afternoon, and this band moves east in the area. Same area is kind of highlighted here. I'll circle them. We kind of have eastern North Carolina and eastern Virginia as kind of the main area here. Obviously, areas further south get in on it a little bit, but it's not as heavy. But this band that goes through the Central Carolinas, even down to Atlanta, would be pretty heavy. And we move this on, goes up the coast. That's a 969 low. That's the equivalent of a major hurricane. If this were summertime, that would be a major hurricane. Classic Miller A look. And I did this in this morning's video, and I'll do it again. Kind of, we have a low that will start to form somewhere in here, and it has to choose whether it goes kind of up like this and overland. That would introduce a lot of mixing issues and throw our main snow like back in here. Or if it kind of goes out like this, kind of like it's doing here. Or if it kind of goes out further, or maybe it kind of splits the difference and goes up here. Who knows? We have to decide where this low goes, or we have to figure out where this low goes, rather. But continue on, and again, Atlantic Canada, Nova Scotia getting on some very heavy snow. And I will add, like in this frame here, this is Sunday night and Monday morning, Cape Cod. You guys, obviously, there's some heavy snow falling, and it's probably be wet snow, but it's also very windy. Like this is a nor'easter. That's what this is. It's not the highest impact maybe you've ever seen, but there's some wind involved with this for sure if the low is this strong. Let's move this on to the GFS. Continues to show us what we want to see. So let's just look at it here. So again, we start this off. This is Friday at 7 p.m. or so. We already have snow in the Appalachian Mountains, breaking containment actually in Virginia. So who knows? This event is going earlier as we move on here. But we kind of get a more established area of snow to develop getting into Saturday morning, about 7 a.m. Not a forecast. These are not exact times, just in general. And the Raleigh-Durham area has got the heaviest at this point. Then it blows up. We have a 1,002 millibar low further offshore, closer to 300 or 400 miles here. But nevertheless, look at all this snow in the Carolinas, the Virginias, back into Kentucky and Tennessee. Not a forecast, just an idea here. And heavy snow. This is much more of a snowstorm than the Euro is, and I'll draw on this a little bit. We have just some much more dark, vibrant blues showing up here, just indicating heavier snowfall rates. Our low is right here. It's moved a lot closer. Notice that? It kind of starts out here and then goes like that. So it doesn't go like out to sea. It kind of goes into land a little bit. So it's possible. And this is a kind of all-encompassing sort of snowstorm here. Areas in the Savannah-Beaufort area getting snow. The Southern Appalachians and some Northwest Flow getting snow. Most of South Carolina, if not all, has seen snow, even though it's leaving the upstate. And we have a lot of North Carolina with snow. The entire state of Virginia is snowing. Maryland is snowing. Delaware is snowing. So it's a huge snow getting up into the Delmarva. And where does it go after? It's a 971 low. I mean, right off the coast. This would be very, very windy at this time. In fact, before we move on, I don't want to get caught up in this, but I'll show you the wind. This could be bad, to put it lightly. These purples this is a knot. So that's the equivalent of, near 55, 60 miles per hour sustained winds in the Chesapeake Bay and getting down to the Outer Banks. So we'll have to watch that. This is one of the stronger and closer scenarios that we got. But regardless, we'll go back to this, not to get too hung up on that, but watch for that possibility. It's very much out there. But this heavy snow, that's a blizzard. We move this on, and it's just more amplified. It's more moisture, and it goes up into Atlantic Canada. It's actually so amplified, it runs a 967 low into Nova Scotia, and it starts raining there. I don't know if we'll get that, but who knows? And it moves on out. The GFS is not nearly as excited about that snow Monday afternoon, but Who knows? It's certainly possible. And what about our AI GFS? This is starting off. Again, this is Friday literally at like 1 p.m., just afternoon. And it gets going. These are 6 hour increments here, not 3. But we get into 7, 8 o'clock p.m. On Friday. So a little bit earlier. Snow in the southern Appalachians, maybe a little bit further west. I mean, Knoxville and Nashville are in on this, for example. And it sticks around for a second. Then it expands further west. Areas, Memphis, you're not snowing, but you're closer to snow here. This is Saturday morning, 7 a.m. or so. And we start off as rain between Atlanta and Charlotte. I don't know if we'll do that. I really don't. I think it might be cooler than that. But who knows? It's a possible scenario. If you hear rumbling noise, my garage just opened, and I am above the garage. Anyway, we'll continue here. Heavy snow, Atlanta to Charlotte. Danville, Pikeville, Kentucky here. West Virginia, and the southern areas, all the way up maybe near, I can't think, Charleston. Nashville, Knoxville, Atlanta, you're snowing. Near Birmingham, it's snowing. This is the AI GFS. So it's a little bit broader with the snow initially. And, it's bigger. More heavy snow in these areas. Virginia Beach, the Chesapeake Bay, heavy snow. Eastern North Carolina, heavy snow. Not a forecast, by the way. And it rolls on up and out of the way. But this is a big snowstorm. It's a big hit. A lot of model consistency here. Quite honestly, the Euro is kind of out on an island for the lack of snow. It will here. I'm going to go back to it just to show you and compare here. We have, or if I can find it here, we definitely have snow, but this kind of suppressed look here where it keeps the heaviest snow maybe even out over the water, and then far eastern areas of North Carolina, it's kind of out on an island in that sense. It might be right, but the other models, even its AI, don't necessarily agree with that. So we'll go back here wherever we were. Yes, so we were here. I'm going to show you the Canadian. I haven't shown you this yet in making these videos, but I'll show it to you. It's been consistently showing a hit. So we get into Friday afternoon as the sun's going down. We have a lot more moisture. You can see it forms the low earlier at 10-12 low in the Gulf. And then we have more moisture making its way, kind of a slug of moisture in the deep south here. So more moisture right off the bat, and some snow in the southern Appalachians. And we get overnight, it's like midnight, and we have, there's snow. Areas of the southern Appalachians down near Columbia. My dog is also barking downstairs, so if you hear that, that's what that is. It sounds like she's dying, but she's okay. But we have snow, in Columbia, and then there's some mixing. I wonder if we'll do this. I really do. I don't know if it will be warm enough for this. But, in the Greenville-Spartanburg area, we got some light snow. Nothing heavy. If you're here, I'll circle it like this. If you're in these areas here, and so we got a bunch of freezing rain, and, well, we got more sleet than expected, but still we got some ice. It wasn't a snowstorm like it was further north. And you're looking at this and you want it to snow. I understand that. I live in that circle. I want it to snow too, but don't get your hopes too high. Because even if you see blues showing up here, I mean, we have several frames where it does, this is not that heavy. And this is dry snow in this area because it's so cold and the dew points are so low. It's not really those like, cotton ball sized snowflakes that stick really well. But this is worse for travel conditions. So keep that in mind. But we get into Saturday afternoon, sporadic heavier snow showers. Pretty big hit here. Just overall, very wide area of snow from Atlanta to Richmond, over to Knoxville and Pikeville, Kentucky, southern West Virginia. I mean, it's a huge, most of South Carolina seeing snow. Every county sees it by the end of the event in South Carolina, not a forecast. And then, again, kind of targets the same areas for heaviest snow right in here because you're closer to the low and you're more moist. The dew points are higher. Now, for example, this is a 981 low, so I'm going to show you the wind off of this. Yeah, this is not really different. unfortunately. This is still much. This is this is a nor'easter as it's making it, as it's just getting started. So before I show you that, I'm already on this. I'll just see how this Cape Cod here. This is hurricane force winds as a 958 low. That's really impressive to say the least. It moves on out. Anyway, not to get ahead of ourselves here, we'll go back and look at this. Keep everything in frame, but we move on. Moves up the coast, and Cape Cod gets, really, really heavy snow. 2 to 3 inch per hour rates is what you'd see in this because it's so heavy. Not a forecast. Moves on, Nova Scotia, kind of the same tune as we've been hearing with all these models. And then who knows what. Doesn't really show that secondary snow on Monday. That's more just a Euro thing. So who knows. So let's get into some snowfall. Okay, we have, this is the Euro Ensemble. This is the 12Z. This looks different from the run we showed you first. It kind of narrows in on eastern North Carolina, specifically the Outer Banks region. Nearly 6 inches as a mean. The Euro Ensemble makes up 51 members, and they all came together and combined, and that's going to include some runs that doesn't show anything, to give you nearly 6 inches. So that's a lot. We even have, this is kind of upticked in some of these areas, inch to inch and a half. It's not crazy. Again, this is not necessarily going to be the big one for these areas in here. In the secondary circle I'm drawing, it could be heavier. But in this area here, just watch. You might see some snow. It might accumulate. But this is not going to be some major snowstorm. Not for us here. Areas further east do see that. So this is through the event. And it gives Cape Cod about 6 inches. And then Nova Scotia and surrounding islands with a lot of snow. So keep that in mind. We'll see where this goes. We'll do this tomorrow, and we may see, for example, if this trends, let's say, just due west, we may see this axis of heavy snow that's in there. Not a forecast. Not saying that's going to happen, just it might. The Euro Ensemble has been very steady in its placement. As in, it hasn't moved to where the axis was over here or down here or something. Just generally, it's been in the same spot, but changed the totals. So what about the GFS Ensemble? Like it's operational, because the GFS follows its operational a lot. We have a lot of snow in some of these areas. Not to overly get detailed, Raleigh-Durham's at 7 to as much as 10 inches. Greenville's at 8ish, and the Chesapeake Bay is at 10 inches. So this kind of goes up the coast, and it really hits Cape Cod hard with over a foot. But keep in mind, this is not the best thing out there to look at because it follows its operational a lot. We know what the operational did with how close it was. The low was like right here. So there's a really, really heavy snow. But this is a good signal if you're a snow weather fan. I mean, even down areas as far south as Atlanta, you're getting something. And Augusta, nearly 2 inches. Down the Savannah-Beaufort area drops off quickly. But hey, just keep an eye on it. I'm not optimistic. I'm really not about areas in here getting much. We kind of have different, or I'll circle it like this. These areas might not get nearly as much as the rest. Just keep that in mind. Don't get your hopes too high. So what about the Euro AI? This is way different. I'll show you. I think it was this run. Yeah, this was the run we looked at this morning. This is still impressive. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is what we're looking at now. So if you want to call something an uptrend, it's this right here. Central North Carolina, Raleigh-Durham area at over 6 inches, over half a foot of snow. And then the Chesapeake Bay area, you're at near a foot and sometimes over. Chesapeake Bay and Virginia Beach, Chesapeake itself, and then down to the Outer Banks, getting beyond measurable snow. And then, I mean, it's pretty similar in Atlanta, about half an inch, and get down to Augusta. That's very much measurable, and it's aggressive with this initial snow right off the bat. This stuff in here that I'm clicking on with these 5 to 6 inch snowfall totals is from the beginning part of it. And down in my neck of the woods here along the I-85 corridor, several inches showing up. Don't get your hopes up yet. This is not a forecast. So how about the operational runs? This is the operational GFS This is the 18Z. So this is something that would make a lot of people happy. Just south of Danville, we have 36 inches. That is 3 feet of snow. That is not going to happen. I can say with nearly all of my confidence, it's not going to happen. We have over a foot of snow. I'll just outline the regions. What an insane area to get over a foot of snow. I mean, Central North Carolina, you get hit hard. The Outer Banks actually drop off a little bit because the low is so close. But, generally the Greenville-Spartanburg area's got several inches, locally higher. And then even as far as, Columbia, you got a few inches showing up. Myrtle Beach with a few inches. The coastal areas got something from this. And moves up through the Delmarva with several inches. But, D.C., you drop off a little bit. So, not a forecast. This is just one operational run of the GFS model. We know what the GFS shows. Now, what about the Euro? This is a bummer, right? However, one thing I do like about this is the fact that we're agreeing on locations here. We hit these areas hard. Not as with the GFS as much. The GFS is such a wide and high impact storm for the number of people that it hits. Not necessarily that impacts will be high end, but just it's like all of this. I don't know if we'll see that, but 1 to 2 inches in my area. Same down in Columbia, and then over towards the coastal areas. Myrtle Beach points north, and then along the coast you get several inches over half a foot. Another thing of note here is that this is the 10-to-1 snow liquid ratio. This is all we got. The Kuchera ratio I was going to show you, you have to pay for that. Maybe one day I'll buy that, but right now I haven't. These totals will be higher than this, but not drastically. We saw the run, and it's not anything too crazy. But still, even on this run, with the worst ratio, you still have 6 to as much as 8 inches in the Raleigh-Durham area. So that's something. Now, what about the Canadian? What did it drop after the run that we saw? And yeah, it's a hit. We got multiple inches in my neck of the woods. We have nearly a foot or more in a very wide area here, up through the Delmarva, along the I-95 corridor, and then Raleigh-Durham with 10-ish inches. Columbia, 4 inches on this run. Atlanta's 1.3 on this run, but it's just this run. The Canadian, rather, it has more snow in these areas. It starts earlier, so it has more snow in that. But you can kind of see a band here. So that band it does something for these areas. And down, Macon's not really doing a whole lot on this run, but you're close. So that's the latest Canadian. Not going to go any deeper into it than that. So how is this working? What's causing this? How is this working? So we're going to get into it here. This is the pattern. So this is the latest, I believe, yes, the latest Euro ensemble. So this is, as you can see, 500 millibar geopotential height and anomaly. So what this really is where it's trying to pinpoint where we have lower pressures and cooler air. So this would be a low. This is some lower pressure here. So these blues that you see kind of in the eastern U.S. are below average pressures. And in response, typically it's below average temperatures as well. And these kind of salmon, tan, pink, whatever it shows up on your screen is warmer than average temperatures, above average pressures, and more stable conditions, typically. So we start this out now. This is where we are right now. So our progression looks like this. We get into Thursday into Friday, and we start to see this. This right here is an extension of the trough, digging due west. So there's a lot of cold air associated with this. It's kind of dropping down like this from the north, from the Arctic. And so we continue this on. And you can see an area. We'll stop here. This is I left these arrows on because it works, right? Our cold air is digging like this, and then I'll get them off now. We have, obviously, your attention is drawn here. This is, our low is amplifying, and it's kind of digging more like this now. So it's transitioned from a very strong negative or positive tilt to still negative tilt, and as it goes, it'll be like this, and it might end up like this. That's the progression here. We'll see what it does. So this is a very, very strong signal for very cold air aloft. That's what tells me that we won't have mixing issues. Obviously, at the surface, if we get too warm, yeah, but compare this to the last event in some areas where it was in the 20s and freezing rain, that's because it was too warm aloft. We won't be dealing with that now. But we move this on in time. Look at how this thing just amplified right here. This is just insane. This is Friday or Saturday afternoon, and just look at this low. Just it's digging due south on this at this time. This would be Saturday after the sun's gone down, and very, very cold temperatures aloft. In fact, I don't know. I might be proved wrong. We might have. I don't know if we're gonna have some sort of temperature thing or not. They don't have that. It doesn't look like. Well, we can look here. These are okay. This works. These are our low to mid levels here, about a mile ish above your heads. These values that you see here in this pink are well below average when it comes to our temperatures in this level. So yeah, we're not going to have mixing issues in an environment like this. But I'll go back here and we'll get everything back in frame. Here we go. Same time frame, move this on. It continues amplified. I mean, this right here is getting into Sunday morning. And it starts to move offshore and then goes up, and it kind of loses some steam, if you will, but it's already done its damage. It did all of its damage right in this time frame right here that I'm playing through. So that's a very, very strong signal for a low. Now, what about temperatures? This is the Euro Ensemble for temperatures, and we're going to start this off right now. So we're going to see how this progresses. You can see some of these, and you look in areas of Canada, these negative temperatures, and they're diving down. I want you to watch as there's some sort of boundary that starts to dive south. Okay? And see, it kind of broke containment there. This is getting into Saturday morning. This is why I don't think we're going to have mixing issues at the start of this event. I mean, the freezing line is way down here. So the fact that, say, the Canadian threw in some rain in these areas, I don't buy that at all. But very cold temperatures, diving down here. There's some sort of frontal boundary that's passed through. This is Saturday morning. And then we get into Saturday afternoon. It sticks around. I mean, it's a very cold night, Saturday night into Sunday morning. And on this run, we've been consistent with this. We kind of, Sunday afternoon, some of these areas go above freezing that were impacted, but barely. And the rest of the event, Eastern North Carolina, Virginia, the Delmarva, all the way up, you guys are just cold. And move this on, and you stay cold. So I don't personally, at this time, think we're going to have any issues mixing. Obviously, the individual model runs will show different things, but I don't think we're going to have that, personally. This is going to be the last thing I have for you. So this is going to try to determine where our low goes. So I meant to pull this up. I'm just going to do it now. Look a little bit closer here. So this is the Eastern U.S. This is the Euro Ensemble. And this is where the Euro Ensemble thinks, based on all of its members, that the surface low will go here. We get into early Saturday morning. We have some blues. This is below average pressures. This is showing where the low is. And you can see the red off in areas further west, centered over the Central Plains. That's a high pressure. And this is getting into Saturday morning. And it deepens very rapidly. It gets sub 1,000 by late just afternoon and into the night on Saturday. So note where the low is. From here ish, does it go up like that? Does it go up like that, or does it go like that? Where does it go? It goes kind of on the last one. So it's just close enough over the coast of the Carolinas, Virginia, some of these mid-Atlantic eastern seaboard states to do a lot when it comes to winter weather. And then it amplifies a lot. That's 982, 980. I don't know if we have wind on this. No, we don't. But we can look at this. This is reasonably close. So this is 850 millibars. So this, for example, this frame here, getting into Sunday morning, you see some of these values here. This is an ensemble, so these values are not going to reach very high. This is just above the surface by not that much. And some strong winds. So blizzard conditions appear likely. I'll circle appear possible. I'm not going to say likely yet. In these areas, that's where we could see blizzard conditions. We'll have to watch and see what happens. So that's the last thing I have to show you for that. So I'm going to go, we'll end on this. It works well. So yeah, like I said, that's all I've got. Tune in tomorrow. I have a video out, maybe two. Again, I appreciate the growth this channel has seen. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and all the new subscribers over the past couple of weeks. And I thank the Lord for that. That I've been able to do this. This has been a kind of a dream, a passion of mine for a while. And being able to go on YouTube and post these videos is important to me. I like it a lot. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. And so, yeah, tune in tomorrow. We'll have another one out, and I will see you then.